Susan Boyle became super famous after her amazing tryout on Britain's Got Talent. At first, nobody thought she would do well, but her powerful singing voice changed everything. She had a really successful career and even won America's Got Talent, The Champions. She made more than $45 million. Then, she suddenly disappeared from the spotlight. Come along as we find out what happened to this singer and learn more about her life story. Susan Boyle is living proof that you should never judge someone by how they look. Susan Boyle was born on April 1, 1961. Her dad, Patrick Boyle, worked in a coal mine and loved to sing. Her mom, Bridget Boyle, worked as a typist. Susan has 4 older brothers and 6 older sisters. She grew up in a government housing home in West Lothian in Scotland, where she still lives today. She was picked on at school. The only thing that made Susan feel happy was her love for music. She sang in her church choir and also joined local talent shows where she did really well. Her mom told her she should try out for Britain's Got Talent. But Susan thought she was too old, so she gave up on that idea. Even though she liked watching the show on TV. Susan didn't try out when it first started in 2004, but after her mom passed away in 2007. She finally tried out in 2008. She had been taking care of her sick mom until her mom died. She hadn't sung in front of people until this moment, during the Britain's Got Talent show held in Glasgow. Susan blew away the judges and everyone watching with her singing of I Dreamed a Dream. When she hit the chorus, everyone stood up and clapped. Judge Amanda Holden said it was the biggest wake-up call ever. She kept talking about how people looked down on Susan because of how she looked. After that, famous people like Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher started posting on Twitter to cheer her on. After becoming famous all over the world, her tryout video went crazy popular on YouTube and got more views than any other YouTube video at that time, even though she came in second place in the contest and had a hard time at first because she was so tired. Susan started her new life as a singer. She joined her fellow contestants on tour and worked on her first album. Susan's story gave hope to lots of people. It showed that dreams can come true no matter how old you are. Her first album, I Dreamed a Dream, came out in November 2009 and broke sales records. It sold over 2 million copies around the world in just the first week. It's still the fastest-selling first album by a woman ever. From the very beginning, Susan's dream seemed really far away. She was the youngest of 6 sisters and 4 brothers. She was born when her mom, Bridget, was 47 years old. Her family didn't have much money to take care of another kid. When Susan was born, it was really dangerous, and Susan didn't get enough oxygen for a little while. This led to learning problems. Or at least, that's what they told her. Later, when she was at the top of her career, she found out something totally new about. What was really wrong with her? School was really hard for Susan. Other kids and even teachers were mean to her all the time. In a touching interview, she talked about how hard it was to keep up when the school system wanted everyone to learn fast. She said, "I was a slow learner. I'm just a little slower at picking things up than others. So you get left behind in a system that wants to rush on, you know?" That was what I felt was happening to me. Her teachers would hit her with a belt when she had trouble with schoolwork. Other kids called her Susie Simple and made fun of her all the time. School was the worst time of her life. The bullying and hitting hurt her confidence and made learning even harder. Going on stage at Britain's Got Talent was Susan's way of proving her bullies wrong. It showed she could do something amazing, even though they were so mean to her. Her performance was like sweet revenge. She later wrote and sang You'll See on her first album. It was a song telling her bullies that she made it even though they were so cruel. But her path wasn't easy. In 2011, Susan told everyone about a sad part of her childhood. Besides the learning problem that nobody knew about, she also had epilepsy. The doctors had figured it out correctly. But the people close to Susan, like her parents and teachers, didn't know how to deal with her seizures. The doctors had made the right call. But her parents and teachers didn't understand how to help Susan with her epilepsy. This condition isn't rare among musicians. Sir Elton John, Neil Young, and Lil Wayne also have epilepsy. But in Susan's case, nobody handled it the right way. She remembered having seizures at school a lot. This gave the bullies even more reasons to pick on her. She would pass out during class, and when she woke up, other kids would stand around her, call her names, and laugh at her. At home, things weren't much better. Her parents would be way too protective during her episodes. And if the problem got too hard to handle, they would just leave her alone to deal with it herself. When she asked for extra help, her dad would call her touchy. Everyone thought Susan's epilepsy was connected to her learning problems, but that wasn't true. So her condition never got treated. It's no surprise that Susan finished school without good grades. She had a hard time finding a job because she didn't have good grades and had a learning problem that nobody knew about. Susan says she applied to lots of places, but either never heard back or messed up her first interview. She finally got a job as a cook in training at West Lothian College. But it only lasted 6 months, mostly. She had to keep moving from one government job program to another without a steady job or enough money. Even with all these problems, she found happiness in singing at local places. That was all there was to her music career until a sad loss pushed her to chase a dream she had been to. Scared to go after? Even though she had a tough family life. Susan Boyle believed in forgiveness and being selfless. She didn't have much growing up and wasn't into romance. She famously said during her Britain's Got Talent time, "Never been married, never been kissed." Her humble and good nature led to some big life choices. After her dad died, all her brothers and sisters eventually moved out of their 4-bedroom government house. They left behind their old, sick, and weak mother. Only Susan and her 10-year-old cat Pebbles stayed. Even after becoming a world-famous music star and making millions, Susan still lives in her childhood home. She likes keeping her life simple. A neighbor said that when her mom Bridget Boyle died, Susan wouldn't come out for 3 or 4 days. She wouldn't answer the door or the phone. Susan is a practicing Roman Catholic. She sings in her church choir and helps out by visiting older church members at their homes. She said her life was boring and the same every day before she became famous. She talked about this during a 2010 episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show. In 2012, Susan found out she has Asperger's syndrome. She told everyone about this in a BBC interview in December 2013. She also has epilepsy. In November 2012, when someone asked her about dating online, she made a joke. She said she was too scared, saying, "Knowing my luck, I'd go out on a date and you'd find my limbs scattered around various Blackburn dustbins." In July 2013, Susan supported the Better Together campaign. This was to keep Scotland as part of the United Kingdom during the 2014 vote on whether Scotland should be its own country. She said, "I am a proud, patriotic Scot, passionate about my heritage and country. But I am not a nationalist." She added that Scotland has kept its proud identity while being part of Britain. Susan doesn't drink alcohol. She has type 2 diabetes, which she first found out about in June 2013. In November 2014, news reports said she had a boyfriend. He was called her first boyfriend, and they were about the same age. She had a small stroke in 2022. She shared this news during a show on June 4, 2023. After a Britain's Got Talent episode, what do you think makes Susan Boyle want to stay in her childhood home, even today? On Britain's Got Talent, even though Susan had a kind-looking face, people looked down on her because she wasn't wearing fancy clothes. But her beautiful voice amazed everyone, including the judges. The change from those terrible bullying scenes to the moment where she got a standing ovation grabbed attention from people all over the world. Susan's tryout went viral in a week. The video of her was watched over 100 million times. Old videos of her earlier performances, like her 1999 Cry Me a River performance, also went viral. Susan dealt with sickness and being tired throughout the whole show. Still, she did an amazing job in the finals. She came in second place, losing only to the dance group Diversity. But she had won the most important battle of her life because of what happened on Susan's show. Many people realized you should never give up on your dreams, no matter how old you are. Her first album, I Dreamed a Dream, came out in November 2009 and was a huge hit. It became one of the fastest-selling first albums by a woman ever. It sold more than 2 million copies around the world in the first week and broke records. In the UK, it also became the most pre-ordered album ever on Amazon. The album did so well that I Dreamed a Dream became the best-selling album in the world the year it came out. It sold over 9 million copies. Billboard News said it had the highest first-week sales for a new female artist's album since they started keeping track in 1991. After this success, Susan Boyle set a Guinness World Record for the fastest-selling first album by a woman. She also got the record for highest first-week sales and the record for being the oldest person to have a #1 first album in the United Kingdom. Susan's big voice and inspiring story touched people everywhere, especially in America. She appeared on America's Got Talent, and people loved her. Gone were the days when people looked down on her. Susan welcomed her success and wasn't scared anymore. Instead of just watching her own life go by, she really enjoyed the world around her. For years, Susan had believed that a small problem when she was born had caused permanent damage to her brain. Thinking about her school years, she thought she was just unlucky. But the Asperger's diagnosis meant she could finally get the right help for the first time in her life. In an interview with The Guardian, Susan said that being called brain damaged always felt mean and unfair. Deep down, she knew she was like everyone else. She just had her own way of doing things. She also hoped her story would make people treat people who think differently more kindly. She said, "I think people will treat me better because they will have a much greater understanding of who I am and why I do what I do." After bravely sharing her story, Susan got lots of support from fans and critics. People liked how real and honest she was about her life. Many famous people are too scared to be that open. If this wasn't enough, Susan had to give up her only bad habit that same year, her love for eating chocolate. This became a problem when she found out she had type 2 diabetes, even though they caught it in time. Susan had to learn a whole new way of living while still getting used to her autism diagnosis. Later, when the pandemic hit, she had to be extra careful to protect herself from COVID-19. This caused another break in her music career. For at least 2.5 years, she had to stay home. She couldn't meet with people who could have helped her make another great album. Eventually, she went back to her childhood home and gave her fancy new place to her niece. She was really sad about all this. But then her sister getting sick made Susan take a short break before coming back in 2015, after Susan became super famous. Bridget had been a supportive sister in many ways. She stood by Susan when reporters picked on her for silly things like how she looked. Bridget kept Susan down to earth when success followed her everywhere. Bridget was Susan's protector during her ugly fight with their brother, Jerry. She shared this touching news after a great performance on the Britain's Got Talent stage. She got to sing with the West End cast of Les Miserables. It was a very emotional moment for her that night. She went on Instagram to tell her followers that she had to practice speaking a lot to be able to sing her beloved song, I Dreamed a Dream. Her hard work paid off. Today, she keeps chasing her music dreams even with all her health challenges, even though the stroke delayed her plans for new music. The amazing Susan Boyle still performs for her fans whenever she has the energy and wants to. She mostly stays away from the public eye now. Recently, Susan said that not having kids is one of her biggest regrets. Still, she does have a secret love life with an American guy. Nobody knows who he is, not even the nosiest reporters. Her boyfriend does go with her to special events like her birthday. But that's all anyone knows about her love life. Before her big appearance on the show, her fans were excited to hear new music. Susan Boyle is a gift that keeps on giving. And while we wait patiently for her next music project,